Walt Disney once said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them," and that's exactly what he did. While others may argue that those before him created the stepping stones into animation, there is no dispute that Walt Disney led the industry into the thriving empire it is today. A man who got his fulfillment from making people happy, yet inspiring us with creativity and determination along the way, Walt Disney made an enormous impact on the nation and eventually the world, with a legacy that continues to live on. Born Walter Elias Disney, fourth of 5 children, in 1901, growing up on a farm in Missouri, Walt already had a passion for art, not knowing he would use his artistic leadership to start a worldwide legacy. After taking art night school, during high school, Walt decided that art was the path he was going to take. Disney tried many jobs, but it wasn't until he and his friend from an old job, Ub Iwerks, started a company together called Laugh-O-Gram Films that he was successful. The company was named after the drawings they made in the Kansas City Slide Company. Laugh-O-Gram started producing shorts, but money was running low. Trying to save money, Walt started producing Alice comedies, mixing cartoons with the live actress, but ran out of money in the middle of production. Walt later called it the blackest moment of my life when he was forced into bankruptcy. Even though Laugh-O-Grams went bankrupt, Walt wasn't about to stop pursuing his lifelong dream. Walt decided he would live with his Uncle Robert in California, but things didn't go too well. When Walt arrived, he started looking for a job, saying he was a director, but since he didn't have much experience, he didn't get one. Roy Disney, Walt's brother, who was a big mentor to Walt, told him that he should try going back to cartooning. Walt took the suggestion and drew out some ideas for cartoons. He sent them to a woman named M.J. Winkler, who later offered to pay $1,500 for 6 of the shorts. After the acceptance of Winkler, the two brothers went into business. The official start of the Disney Studios was on October 16, 1923. Walt and Roy were finally able to release the first animated short out of the series called Alice Comedies, and the cartoon soon became popular. The two brothers were under a new contract with Charles Mintz at that time, and since the cartoons were becoming popular and more room was needed, the brothers bought a vacant lot and built the Walt Disney Studios on Hypern Avenue that still stands today. During this time, Walt thought that the help of his friend Ub was necessary, so Walt wrote a letter to his friend telling him to move west and join them at the studio, and his friend did so. When Alice Comedies started losing steam around 1926, Mintz made a deal with the brothers to create a new cartoon called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit in 1927. Later that same year, the first Oswald cartoon aired, and the last Alice Comedies hit the theaters. Oswald was a great success, and the brothers were expecting more money to roll in, but Mintz began paying less money for each cartoon. Mintz then threatened to take the cartoon as his own with the loss of money, and ended up doing so. He offered employees at the studio more money if they came with him. The contract was broken and all employees left except Walt, Roy, and Ub. After losing everything, Walt boarded a train to Los Angeles. He knew he couldn't just let everything disappear. He needed a new cartoon. Walt started thinking of ideas. He started sketching and drew out a cute mouse that his wife loved. Walt named him Mortimer Mouse, but Lillian, his wife, was sitting next to him and got him to change the name to Mickey so it was catchier for children. And that's when it all began. 1928 was one of the most important years in Walt Disney's life. After Walt arrived back in Hollywood, he shared the idea of Mickey with Ub. The two worked together until they came up with the perfect and final drawing of Mickey. After working on the animation, they released the first Mickey Mouse cartoon, Plain and Crazy. Then later that year, the first synchronized sound cartoon, Steamboat Willie, came out.
He created some unique characters, and I think that was the initial appeal. He created, obviously, Mickey Mouse, and he also embraced technology early, including the use of sound.
The cartoon had great success, and Walt ended up signing a contract with a man named Pat Powers. Though Walt had other cartoons before, you could say that Mickey Mouse started his career. After the great success of Mickey, Walt decided to start new animated shorts called Silly Symphonies. The cartoons were to have music added, something Walt got interested in. The first of the shorts, called Skeleton Dance, was released in 1929. Disney's career was going well until Pat Powers decided, since he signed a contract with Walt, he could control Mickey Mouse cartoons. Powers told the employees at the studio to come work with him. Most of Disney's staff left, going to work with Powers, including Walt's dear friend Ub. Pat Powers was thinking Roy and Walt would join to make more money, but they stood their ground, bought the contract, and kept producing the most famous cartoon character by Disney. After signing with Columbia Pictures, Disney decided that he would add color and sound to one of his cartoons, Flowers and Trees. This was the first cartoon with both sound and color. 1930s was the time of the Great Depression, yet Disney was able to shed a light on the darkness by premiering the film Flowers and Trees in 1932 for all to enjoy. Flowers and Trees not only did well in theaters, but was also the first cartoon to win an Oscar from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Walt, like always, wanted to put a smile on others' faces and released the film Three Little Pigs that also premiered in 1932, featuring the theme song Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, which Walt added in to make families who were having trouble paying rent during the Great Depression happier. The film also won an Oscar from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. A couple years later, the first colored Mickey Mouse cartoon premiered. Disney not only wanted to create animated shorts, but decided to make the first full-length animated feature film. The film was to be called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Many people believed that Disney wouldn't succeed in his hope to make Snow White the first full-length animated film, but Disney was determined.
He really pioneered the feature-length animated film, and so that was something that no one thought could be done, and no one at least thought it could be done in a way that would impact audiences so emotionally. And so he really popularized this art form, and there have been a lot of people that come since then, but he was really the first, and his legacy still, remains amongst the most popular brands for animated films.
Walt Disney's work paid off as the film had great success and won an Academy Award. Snow White was not the only full-length feature film Walt made. Others include Fantasia, Pinocchio, and Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins was released in 1964 and is considered Walt's masterpiece, as it mixed animation and live action to create a wonderful film. After building a new studio on Burbank and overcoming a strike, Disney decided to pursue another dream of his, owning an amusement park. Walt Disney had always envisioned a clean and organized theme park full of creativity and imagination that all ages could enjoy. When his two daughters were young, he always took them to a park to ride the carousel. Walt had thought the amusement parks were sleazy and dirty. He thought he could create a theme park. Walt Disney came up with the idea to make a theme park in 1952 with a clean and long-lasting environment. Walt imagined such a place where rides were based off of his cartoons, and the employees who worked at the park wouldn't be workers. They would be actors in the big cartoon world he called Disneyland. In 1953, Walt started drawing the sketches for the park of his dreams. Finally, construction began on Disneyland in 1954. The two brothers started a famous TV show called Disneyland on the ABC Company channel to advertise, and the show was a hit. Disneyland opened on July 17, 1955. Disney had invited 6,000 special guests to get a preview of the park, but so many people wanted to come. Instead of 6,000, about 22,000 people arrived with counterfeit tickets. Despite the guests, other things went wrong, including a heat wave, gas leak, and lots of other things. Others would have closed the park on that day with so many problems, but not Disney. He welcomed the unexpected crowd by saying,
"All who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world." Thank you.
Disneyland had much success and so many people were enjoying it. Walt wanted to make another park. He imagined a theme park much like Disneyland, but this park would be in Orlando, Florida. He started the idea and called it Project X. He didn't want others to know. The theme park was placed in Florida and still exists today. Walt Disney died on December 15, 1966, due to a heart attack and complications from lung cancer. Walt is dead, but he is not forgotten, as his leadership led us into a whole new world of animation, and not letting any obstacles stop him from reaching his goals, even the Great Depression. Without Walt Disney's determination and always improving his creations, our world would not be the same. A legacy so big that affected so many others in the world of filmmaking, animation, and even the world of theme parks, where Disney parks exist all around the world. Disney said, "Laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever." His words are true as his dream lives on with a great legacy that is still building today.